should get started with this week's class. Ooh, that's very cool. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. Okay, so agenda for today, we're going to be starting off with the review Kahoot, and then a boring lecture, and then we're going to be doing a gym kit, whatever mode you guys want to play. Oh, King's Dominion. Okay. Whoa. Okay, that sounds very epic. Okay, so this review Kahoot is going to be all identification. So basically, it's going to ask you about a bunch of organisms, and then you're going to like try to identify them. So let's get into it. Claw BB not first this time in the Kahoot. Good job, Eli. Oh, wait, let me share my sound. Wait, I'm gonna change it to Christmas just to see what it is. Wow, what's
Oh wait, I completely forgot. We can make you do like a dare, remember from last week?
Oh shucks, I don't remember that. Oh well. Okay, how about wait like 1 more minute? Okay, well you guys actually have to think of something. And it can't be like insane.
We can dare you to name like 15 fossils.
Hey, they could dare you to say there's no class next Friday.
I mean, I can say that. Technically, you guys don't have to show up.
Or they could dare you not to start the Zoom meeting until 7:59.
Okay, we can talk about this somewhere later. Okay, I'm gonna start the Kahoot now. So, may the best fossil identifier win. What is this? We went over this last class, I believe. It is very scary. Lots of teeth. Okay, so not bad actually. So yeah, so when I was making this Kahoot, I was gonna think that you guys are gonna pick one of two. Ichthyosaur has like its neck isn't that long and it's more round. So just remember that Plesiosaur is the one with the longer neck. So yes. I mean, Plesiosaurs are also cute. Technically, this is a toucan, but
They're cute when they're not trying to eat something.
I mean, fair. Okay, so remember that class Aves is birds. Mesohippus and Echis are both like horse-like creatures. Echis is the modern horse, and Archaeus does not exist, to my knowledge. Go, Angelina. Alright guys, I believe in you. Nice, nice, nice. So, cariopods do not exist. Oh, is it lagging still? Is it lagging for anyone else?
It's lagging for me. I can't. Oh.
Okay, I'm continue on with this for now. But if more people find that it's lagging. This one, I don't think that I've went over it in class yet, but we will today. Okay, so this one, the answer choices are all hard too because they were all fishes, but Nidea will be an important fish that we look at today. You guys should know this one. Angelina, you shouldn't put your answers into the chat or else. Okay, so.
Because or else people will think it's the right answer and get it wrong.
Yeah, just try to not put your answer in the chat. But other than that, you're good. Yeah, okay, so this one was kind of tricky because they both look the same. Not gonna lie, when I was looking at this question just now, I also thought it was a velociraptor. But we'll look at the Coleophysis for today as well. I tried exiting out of full screen. Tell me if this is better or not. Nice, nice, good job. Half-voids are also not a thing. Okay, let me try resharing my screen. Just because, okay. All right, nice. Hopefully, okay. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I guess it was just for some people then. All right, nice, good job. Last question. A rock.
That did not look like sandstone.
I mean, we'll have to see whether or not it is sandstone. Nice, nice, good job. Okay, podium for week 5. Nice, good job, Grace. Good job, Fuzzy Bumblebee. Good job, Claw Baby. Who is Claw Baby again? Okay. Oh, nice. Good job, Angela. Okay. So, let's move back to the actual lecture, the boring stuff. Okay, so let me just get a link in case you guys want to follow along. All right. So today we're going to be talking about Lagerstatten and fossils like in the modern era and what popularized them. Wow, I cannot see the chat again. So we're gonna keep the slides in this mode then. Okay, so what are Lagerstatten? So Lagerstatten is the German word for storage place, and this makes sense because it's essentially a fossil site. So lots of fossils all conjugate in Lagerstattens. And so they're known for their exceptional fossil preservation, and there are two types, Kontermutt or concentration, and also concentrat or concentration. So Conservat Lagerstatten are known for their extremely well-preserved fossils, and they play a crucial part in teaching us about ancient life because they also preserve the soft part usually not preserved in other fossils. So the most exceptional Lagerstatten to look at, no, that was my score. So the most exceptional Lagerstatten to look at are conservation Lagerstatten because of their ability to preserve all of these parts. So concentration Lagerstatten are less known for their fossils because they don't have as exceptional preservation, and they have a particular concentration of hard parts. So for example, a bone bed could be a concentration Lagerstatten. They're less well known. So the Fergus Shale is the first Lagerstatten we're going to be looking at. So the time period is around 508 million years old the time period at the Fergus Shale represents is the Cambrian, or 508 million years old, and the location is in Canada. So all of the Lagerstatten we're going to be looking at today are conservation Lagerstatten. The rock type you would find in the Fergus Shale is obviously shale, as you saw in the name. So the way that this Lagerstatten actually formed is that it's the result of mudslides that rapidly buried the fauna or organism life in the area. So because of that, the way these organisms are preserved are also under a deep water avalanche. So because of this, we get a lot of soft parts. So the habitat that the organisms were actually preserved in is not anoxic, so that means there was oxygen, and also marine beds, so that means most of these organisms are marine. So it was discovered by Charles Doolittle Welcott of the Smithsonian Institution, which is a very nice museum if you guys want to check it out, which you guys probably have. And it was named for the Fergus hats. So the organisms that you would find in the Fergus Shale include arthropods, miscellaneous worms, sponges, echinoderms, mollusks. I'm not going to read everything, but basically all invertebrate. So the next Lagerstat we're going to be looking at is Beecher's Trilobite Bed. So the time period that this Lagerstatten was a part of is the late Ordovician, which I spelled wrong. So the location is in New York, and it's again a conservation Lagerstatten. The type of rock that you would find in the Lagerstatten is mudstone. So the more marine rocks, and also it has a really unique mode of preservation called pyritization, which is basically permineralization but with pyrite. The environment that these fossils are formed in is low oxygen, so it's not anoxic, but it has really low oxygen, which is why the fossils could preserve well. So discovered by William S. Valiant, named for Charles Emerson Beecher, and obviously the most prominent organism you're going to find in this Lagerstatt is the trilobite. But you're also going to find other invertebrate and organisms like reptilites, algae, and brachiopods. So, the Mason Creek Lagerstatt. The time period is the Upper Carboniferous. The location is in Illinois near Mason River, which is also why it was named Mason Creek. The kind of rock is ironstone concretions, and this also plays into its formation. So how the Lagerstatten actually formed is that bacterial decomposition combined with dissolved iron that was found in the groundwater near the river. And so Siderite, which is a kind of mineral, forms casts of their structure. If you guys remember from the second class, I believe, casts, or first class, casts are one of the 4 major types of fossils. And then, so there's a process called lithification that forms like protective layers around the ironstone. And this whole process is called authigenic mineralization, which, yeah, basically sums everything up. So that also plays into the mode of preservation, where all of the animals are rapidly buried by settlement, which are deposited from the river system. And so these fossils are mainly impressions. So you'll see like lots of, I guess, complete images imprinted on a rock. So the habitat and environment is ironstone. So just look at formation if you guys want to know more about the habitat. That's what's notable. Again, it's named after the river. And the Mason Creek has a lot of famous invertebrate and plants. So Illinois' state fossil is the Tolia monster, and there's a really famous fossil of that in the Mason Creek. I think if you look at the image on the left, the top left fossil is of the Tolia monster. So, the Ghost Ranch. So the Ghost Ranch was a Lagerstatten, again, conservation, represented the time period Jurassic. So it was located in New Mexico of the United States. The kinds of rocks you would find, the fossils there include quartzite, granite, and also other metavolcanic rocks. So again, the formation is rocks or sediment were deposited by rivers, which is a common theme you'll see throughout all of fossil studies. And so the habitat that these fossils are formed in were like a heavy monsoon-like climate with lots of rain. It would be similar to the weather that you would find 10 degrees north of the equator. So how it was discovered or named by four is a really wild story. It's not exactly child-friendly, so just I'm not going to go into it, but Google it at your own discretion if you want to know the story behind the name. So a major organism in the Ghost Ranch would be the Colophysis. So there was a lot of Colophysis dinosaurs, as well as other dinosaurs and lake organisms. So we'll take a closer look at.
I don't get why it's called Ghost Ranch.
Then you should Google that, because I am not going into the story in class. Or, okay, it's not even that kid unfriendly. It's well, I don't know, but I'm not going into the story right now. So, moving on. Our next Lagerstatten is the Sophomon Limestone. The type of Lagerstatten is, again, concentration. It's located in Germany, which is a pretty important piece of information. When you're looking at like Lagerstatten in Germany, probably the most famous one would be the Sophomon Limestone. The type of rock is obviously limestone, as it's the namesake rock. So again, the formation is sediments deposited by natural forces. So again, just like Mason Creek, the mode of preservation here is impressions and imprints. We get a lot of soft-bodied organisms like jellyfish or sea jellies. So the habitat and environment this Lagerstatten was formed in is warm, shallow seas with islands, again, low oxygen, and also a high salt concentration because it was marine and near the sea. So skipping over the discovered and named for part. You get a lot of Jurassic fossils here, including marine reptiles, pterosaurs, and also something you should remember is that the earliest bird ancestor, the Archaeopteryx, is a really famous fossil in the Sophomon Limestone, and it's what you actually see to the left, I believe. So, the Green River Formation. So this Lagerstatten is pretty recent, not the most recent we'll come across, but it's represented the Eocene, which is actually an epoch, part of the Tertiary period, I'd like to say, but maybe Quaternary. Just remember that it's part of the Cenozoic and the Eocene epoch. So it's located in near present day Green River in Colorado, Wyoming, and Utah. And again, it's a conservation Lagerstatten. There's a lot of kinds of rocks here. I'm not going to read all of it, but again, nothing that we haven't seen before. So because it's actually near the Green River and in that general region, you also have its formation being attributed to the mountain building and uplift of the Rocky Mountains. And so you actually get anoxic conditions here, which means that there's no oxygen, and it was again formed in the mud beds or the lake beds of the Rocky Mountains. It's named for the Green River, which is near. And so the organisms you would find there, I'm not going to read all of it, but just know that Wyoming's state fossil is the Nidea, and there are a lot of Nidea fish fossils here. And it's what you see on the left of the screen. So this is, in my opinion, the coolest Lagerstatten. It's Brea Tar Pits. So this Lagerstatten represents 50,000 years ago, so around the last ice age, I believe. It's in Los Angeles, California, and again, conservation Lagerstatten, because the most notable Lagerstatten are, again, all conservation. So the kind of rock is actually igneous rock, which is pretty uncommon for a fossil site, and this also is why its formation and mode of preservation are all really unique for a fossil site. So the formation of the fossil site is that animals got trapped in tar. So tar in Spanish is brea, which is also why it's called the Brea Tar Pits. And so the tar was seeping up from the ground and trapped the animals inside. So this also is the reason why the environment was really unstable. So George Allen Hancock so he was originally the owner of the area that La Brea Tar Pits was in, but he decided to make it public in 1913. The thickness it's actually only a few inches deep for a fossil site. And so organisms you would find in it, I'm not going to read all of them, but just know that it's icy creatures. And something really interesting is that you'll actually find more predators here than, like, let's say, herbivores. So you'd find more apex predators. This was because that.
Wait, what does it mean by only a few inches deep?
So like the actual tar that trapped the animals in were actually only a few inches deep. So it wasn't like being encased in amber. But okay, so in studying Lagerstatten, there's like a logic, because naturally there are more herbivores than carnivores. Like in the food pyramid, there's less as you go further up. You're going to also find that reflected in fossil sites. So you're going to find more like people that are primary consumers than, let's say, tertiary consumers. But in the Brea Tar Pits, actually, you have more predators, because all of the predators saw these herbivores being trapped in tar, and that's what led them to also go into the tar and get trapped. So that's something pretty cool. So, moving on from the Lagerstatten, we're going to be talking about the Bone Wars now. So, this is actually a really interesting feud between two paleontologists that essentially broke the entire fossils paleontology community. So, it's between Othniel Charles Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope. So we're going to be referring to these people as just Marsh and Cope, but it's a really famous feud between these two paleontologists. So they were originally her friends, started out as just two people who were embarking on their journey to discover more fossils together. But it eventually turned into a race in discovering fossils in the American West. So as a result of the Bone Wars, we have more than 100 fossil species discovered, which is extraordinary for only two people. So really when their friendship ended, according to both of them, was in 1868. So basically, Cope was showing Marsh around a quarry, but secretly, Marsh told the quarry owner behind his back to send any new fossils that they found on the quarry to him at his fossil collection at Yale, which is where he taught. But at the same time, so in that version of the story, Marsh is the villain. But then in the other story that happened at the same time in the same year, Cope discovered a plesiosaur, which we looked at the beginning of class. And so he published a reconstruction of that, but then Marsh pointed out that one vertebrae bone was backwards. And so he just quickly corrected that and pretend like that never happened, which is kind of sucky because his friend pointed out the mistake, but he just took it on his own. But yeah, so that's when their friendship ended. So from that moment on, basically everything just went straight downhill. So they both tried to hurt each other's reputations, and they both ended up not having a happily ever after. So basically what happened after the feud in 1868 was that Marsh was very wealthy. So he had positions in the government, I believe, and he started using government money to he started using government and school money to fund his own expeditions, and also at the same time tried to dig dirt up on Cope to expose him or just take away his fossils career. But then at the same time, Cope also got a lead on Marsh in that Cope realized that Marsh was utilizing the government's money to go against him. So he wrote a lot of slander, and in the end, Cope had his fossils collection taken away. Marsh also had his fossils collection taken away. They just basically ended up dying alone. Their families left them because they were too engrossed in this fossil finding. It's a very wild story, but it was actually pretty important in the history of fossils because of its impact. So,
in the other slide, which one is which man is which?
that is actually a very good question. I don't know, but I'm going to assume that. Wait, let me just. Okay. I will Google this right now. Charles Marsh. Wait, no, that's not him. Okay, yeah. Okay, so my judgment was correct. So the guy on the left is Marsh, the guy on the right is Cope. So what was the impact of the Bone Wars? So for those of you wondering, technically speaking, looking at numbers alone, Marsh won. So he discovered 80 species of dinosaurs versus Cope, who only discovered 56 species. But this was also attributed to the fact that he was more wealthy and he was utilizing the funds of the government and his school to fund his expeditions. So this was also just looking at the species of dinos. So some of the most notable dinos that we know today are as a result of the Bone Wars. This includes the Triceratops, Allosaurus, Diplodocus, Stegosaurus, Pterodactyl, and Colophysis. So all well-known names. But even though there was some positive impacts, and okay. You want to share the novel name? Okay. Oh wait, yeah, I have a funny story. So, fossils is a science Olympiad event, right? So last year at regionals, when we were in person, there was like a piece of rock. Okay, this is like just something in the chat way back. There was like a piece of rock with a fossil on it that we were trying to identify, and I spent like 90% of the station time trying to like identify what leaf it was, but then it was a fish. So, okay, anyway, moving on. So, as a result of the Bone Wars, paleontology also suffered for decades because, these two paleontologists were trying to rip each other down, and they were trying to identify and out-discover one another. And because of this, there was a lot of research that was published that was incorrect because they were just trying to get it out. They weren't concerned about the accuracy. So paleontology's basically lost its credibility because of these two. But at the same time, it did garner some public interest because people were like, whoa, drama, cool. So they started paying more attention to dinosaurs and fossils, and it was pretty cool. So, moving on from the Bone Wars. So, what is the Jurassic Park franchise? So we're going to be looking at why Jurassic Park should not be a movie you watch to learn more about dinosaurs. So I'm sure you guys have all heard of Jurassic Park. It is a series of sci-fi films. So there's like Jurassic Park, Jurassic World.
Every time you go to an arcade, there's something about Jurassic Park.
Okay, an arcade that's like Jurassic Park. If it had real dinosaurs, I don't think that would be a good idea. Wait, what's the third movie in the series? I know it's Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, but I don't know the third one. Jurassic Kingdom? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. But so these Jurassic Park 3. Oh, okay.
Isn't it like Jurassic Park The Last World or something? The Lost World? I don't know.
Oh, I do recall that. I don't know. I'm not sure. But basically, the first Jurassic Park movie.
I just googled it. It's like Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom or something. There's a bunch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I briefly recall that, but I think I've only watched Jurassic Park and World in their entirety. But yeah, basically, Jurassic Park was a movie that was published in the 1990s, 1993, I believe, but I'm not sure. So we didn't know a lot about dinosaurs actually then, because we were still in the age of entering the age of like paleontology revolution. Yeah, it's actually based off of a book. So obviously, Jurassic Park, the whole basis of Jurassic Park is not scientifically possible. We cannot clone dinosaurs through DNA, even though the basis is that they've cloned dinosaurs through ancient DNA extracted from mosquitoes that have been fossilized in amber and preserved. So also, if we actually could do this, it's been heavily debated whether or not we actually should. I personally don't think that having dinosaurs roaming the world is a good idea. And we have lots of movies to prove why it's not a good idea. But okay, anyway. So even though Jurassic Park had a lot of paleontologist advisors, it was ultimately for entertainment purposes. It's a movie, not like a historical documentary. So Horner is actually a famous paleontologist. He discovered Maiasaura, which is also another dinosaur. He was a longtime advisor for the Jurassic Park franchise, and he himself said that there were a lot of inaccuracies, and they're just basically for entertainment purposes. But this also garnered the public interest in dinos and fossils. So it was a really nice play on their part to get people more interested in actual science. I would recommend it 8.5 out of 10. It's PG-13 though, so just make sure. Yeah. But it's pretty good. But everything that Jurassic Park got wrong. So probably one of the key things that they got wrong was the Dilophosaurus. So the visual representation on the left is the Jurassic Park Dilophosaurus, but in real life it was a lot bigger. They sort of played it out to be a fragile lizard, but it was more like a big bird, bulky muscles, and it had really strong jaws. Also, in the movies, they had the Dilophosaurus spit venom, but to this day, there has been no evidence of any dinosaurs being able to spit venom. There's also been no evidence for the neck frill, so the actual representation would be on the right. That is what we expect the Dilophosaurus to actually look like. So it is a lion. It's the lion of dinosaurs, according to Jurassic Park. So the T-Rex, another animal that they got terribly wrong. Okay, so the left visual representation is the Jurassic Park representation, but in actuality, it was a lot more colorful and bird-like. So to this day, the most visually accurate representation of the T-Rex would be the one you see on the left. It had feathers, it was pink, and it danced to attract mates. So it was less like a scary dinosaur.
The left
more like
one?
Oh, sorry, the right one. Wait, did I say left one? But yeah, the right one is what it actually probably looks like. The left one is the Jurassic Park one. Yeah, it's pretty insane.
Wait, what dance?
Okay, so some animals dance to attract mates. I don't know what the actual dance would have looked like, but I'm assuming they would just like wave their tails around.
The real one looks way fatter.
We don't discriminate dinosaurs here, but yeah, it's chalky.
Imagine a T-Rex doing a dance.
Are doo-doos, are they actually like pink, or are they like brownish?
Are you asking about doo-doos?
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually do not recall what a doo-doo looks like. In my memory, a doo-doo kind of looks like a parrot. But
I think it's a sort of bird.
Oh, dodo.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. I think a dodo looks kind of like a parrot toucan, but I'm not sure. If someone wants to Google that and just...
It was white, I think. White and plump.
I have no idea.
Like
But
a big
okay.
chicken. Like a toucan beak and a chicken.
The dodo is like, it can be white, it can be pink, or it can be black, I think.
Okay.
It can also be blue.
Okay, so I guess it's kind of like a T-Rex if you want to think about it that way. But also, in Jurassic Park, they had the T-Rex like zooming at really fast speeds. The T-Rex couldn't actually run; they could only walk very fast, so like speed walking. Also, I don't know what like this is, but it's definitely not how the wrist actually looks.
It actually kind of looks like it's putting its arms on its hips,
Yeah,
but it has short arms on its belly or something.
Yeah, okay. So they made all of the dinosaurs have kind of like kangaroo arms. I have no idea, but it's not what it actually should look like. And oh, okay, thank you, Angelina. So also, it probably didn't roar. It probably sounded more like an emu bird, and it actually had very good eyesight. So I think there was one scene where like the T-Rex literally couldn't see a person right in front of them. But yeah. So the biggest inaccuracy in Jurassic Park also feeds off of this. So they depicted most of the dinos as gray, green, or brown. Gray, green, or brown, but it's actually all of the dinosaurs were pretty colorful. So, okay, so we're gonna speed through all of these inaccuracies. So, the Velociraptor, it looked more like a turkey, and also it was more like the size of a turkey than it was depicted in the movie. In the movie, they were like kind of scary and also pretty large. I don't know. Blue is such a cute velociraptor. Okay, but yeah, they look more like they would in real life as they do on the right. Also, the mosasaur at the end of the first movie, I believe, like literally, just like bit the Indominus Rex, I think, and just like dragged it off into the water because it was huge. But it was actually the size of the T-Rex. Wait, I don't know which one it is, but I know one of them. There was like a really large, like mosasaur. And also, let's be nice. I care. Thank you for pointing out Jurassic Park facts. Well, I mean, I don't know, and I don't think we can text it, but I wouldn't doubt it if they actually figured it out. Also, the Spinosaurus was not a predator, so it wasn't like scary. Pterosaurs couldn't pick up humans; they weren't strong enough for that. I mean, I don't need to know. And again, dinosaur DNA is too old to read. So, yeah. Okay, now